So I did a winter sowing drainage hole experiment this season, and I haven't told anybody about it because I didn't know if it was going to be a success or a bust, and that's what I'm going to talk about here today. As you know, if you're doing winter sowing, growing your veggie, fruit, and herb seedlings out in the snow, in milk jugs and juice jugs and plastic jugs like this, you do drainage holes on the bottom because if you don't have drainage, the plants are going to die. There's lots of things that can happen, but the bottom line is you're not going to get good growth. So normally we do, depending on the size, like that size quart right there, I might do 3-4 holes, this one 5-6 holes. So I was trying to save us some work because if you're doing, I've got 240 some jugs this year, bunch down there, bunch here, they're everywhere. I got them spread out. When you're doing that many, you get tired of drilling or cutting or using the solder iron or however you do it. I use a drill. And so I was trying to save us to having to drill holes on the bottom. A colleague of mine from another Facebook group, the container gardening group, Willem Cotham, told me in repeated posts that you don't need bottom holes, only on the side. And so he's been saying that all year, that for all container gardening, you only need holes on the side because then the water will be retained in that inch in the bottom and it'll help the plant grow. Well, I was very resistant because I am like sold on this technique as is, the way it was created, and that is to have drainage holes on the bottom. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it with half my containers so I can let him know and let myself know and let all of you know whether it could save us all that work and we would only have to do 1 or 2 holes on the sides, no holes on the bottom. Here's the results. Okay, so I found out, bottom line is, I don't like it. It did not work as well. I am not going to do it again. This is why we did it in the first place. You have to have drainage holes on the bottom. Let me show you, there's about 5 different things that happened that I don't like in the ones that had holes on the side. Now, mind you, the plants grew, but they did not grow quite as well, and here's why. Number 1, now this is not a biggie, but there was a lot more moss in my containers. That's green moss. Now, it is not a deal breaker at all. It doesn't hurt your growth, but it is a nutrient competitor, and you have to slime it all off when you take this soil and you move it into your beds or your containers or wherever you're transplanting because you don't want to transplant that moss. It will take over the whole container and steal nutrients from your plant. So that, I don't like all that moss. Like half, maybe more had moss in it. Whereas usually in the past, I might just have 2 or 3 jugs that have moss. The second thing is algae. Now this one's a little harder to see, but we're going to zoom on in there. And they look, you might think they're the same thing, but they're not. That is green algae that is growing on the top of the soil. Same story as the moss. Not a deal breaker, not going to hurt your plants, not the end of the world. You don't have to open your containers and, to get it off or anything like that, but it is a competitor, and the same thing, you'd have to, take it off the surface when you're transplanting so you can use all that good soil. I wouldn't want to take that with me. So that's 2 things. Second thing is, like, they were totally drippy. Let's see if I can show you on this one. Just if you pick it up, water just was, I already did this one, so the water was just dripping out. But, like, literally, this one just dripped. Anyway, they stayed kind of soupy all the time, and I didn't even water them. It was just with the rainwater. So that soupiness in there is what made the algae and made the moss in there. It also, here's the last one, no, second to the last one, is it drew slugs by the bazillions. Literally, inside the containers, I have never once, I can almost say never once, in the probably thousands of containers I've done, over 1,000, I would say in 4 years. No, not quite that many. Hundreds of containers I've done, not one slug has gotten inside. Almost, so many containers had slugs in, and that is, I'm 100% sure it's from the water that was retained in the jug. Because I have kept these on the same patio for 4 years, and I've never had a slug problem. And I do get a lot of slugs here, but never in the winter sowing jugs. So because of that, the final reason is they ate my plants. Look at this little baby. These would have been 4. They're going to make it 5 good little tomato plants, but this is 100% slugs. I don't get snails here. Cabbage worms don't like it. Nothing else but slugs got in there. And I found the slugs in there. I already sent them flying. They're not with me anymore. So I couldn't show on the video. So those are my main reasons. Here's another one over here. The kale got eaten. And that is, I know slug holes versus cabbage holes. That is a slug hole. That is not the cabbage worm. Cabbage worm eats more like this, eats it down to nothing, but they don't like tomatoes, so it's not that. So those are the reasons why. So I believe that Willem's idea about no drainage holes on the bottom is excellent for all of container gardening. And I am going to try it in my other containers, my 5-gallon buckets, and just doing the side holes. I think it's a fantastic idea, but for some reason, or for these reasons, I don't think it's the best idea for winter sowing jugs. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you do holes on the bottom? I definitely don't recommend it. Also, while I'm on it, another important topic is there's some people out there, just a few, that don't tape their jugs. They just kind of close them and punch a little hole and make a twisty through them. I do not recommend that at all. Also, other people don't do full tape. They just want to try and get away with doing like a 2-inch piece of tape on one side or maybe 2 pieces of tape. Well, I had quite a few of those in different areas, so it wasn't just the slug issue or the ground issue. I'm going to sneeze. And they got inside through the cracks because I had a couple containers that I used clear tape, and it didn't, packing tape because I ran out of duct tape, and it left like a gap all the way around, and there were a whole bunch of slugs in there. To be sure, it wasn't one of the ones that didn't have holes in the bottom. It was one that had drainage holes in the bottom, so that wasn't the issue. It was because the thing was not full taped, slugs got in and ate plants. So just wanted to throw that in. That's my 2 cents on not doing drainage holes and not doing full tape. We have to do drainage holes on the bottom and we have to do full tape. That's my tip for today. Love to have you with me if you'd like to subscribe. And if you could give me a thumbs up on the video, it lets me know you like what I'm doing. It sure helps the channel and helps me get out to as many people as possible. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with me, and I will see you on the next video. Sending you much love. Oh, I got a gnat in my mouth. From my garden to yours. Bye.